We're going to do a hurling power rankings. And why are we doing a hurling power rankings? Sure, why wouldn't we do a hurling power rankings?
I'd say one of the main reasons we're doing a hurling power rankings is because you reckon your boys will be further up than they were the last time we did one. So it's perfect timing.
Well, hold on 1 second now. We'll have a look at it the last time we did it. So on the bottom right of the page here is the first rankings we did. This was mid-January, so before the start of the league. We had Limerick 1, Kilkenny 2, Galway 3, Clare 4, Cork 5, Waterford 6, 7 Wexford, 8 Tip, 9 Dublin, 10 Westmeath and 11 Antrim. How does this change, and how on earth did I allow you to do this to Tipperary?
Well, it was very easy to do it at the time, to be fair. There were no results under their belt. There are probably a few decent league results under their belt, particularly the Kilkenny one. Realistically, just even looking just at the bottom of the table. No.
No?
Not at all.
Bit premature.
I'd be swapping Westmeath and Antrim at the bottom as well. Definitely based on league results and how competitive Antrim have been. That would be one of the first ports of call anyway. As regards up the top, you still have Limerick up the top. It's hard, who are you putting in at number 2 here? Kilkenny were beating the All-Ireland final last year. They have a new manager in. Tipperary kind of blew them away in the league. Galway are obviously up very close. They're number 3. They've been, poorish in the league so far as well. So it's going to be a tricky one.
Well, you and I have both predicted that Tipperary will get out of Munster after seeing what we've seen so far, haven't we?
I had tipped to get out of Munster. Did I? I had tipped 4th in my initial predictions, but
your tune has changed.
No, well, what you're seeing before your eyes is kind of changing it as well, to be fair. I think they'll be in the top 3, yeah. I think at the moment, I'd probably wondering whether Waterford are going to be in that 3.
What about Clare, though? Because Adrian McGrath is going to come in now with a comment shortly and clip the ears off us.
I tell you something. Here's one for you, Shane. When you go back through, the round robin has been in Championship for 3 years, 18, 21 and 22. What team has most wins in the Munster round robin? Most points?
It must be Clare.
Yeah, it is Clare.
Okay,
amazing.
So they seem they seem to be able to manage the season well, yeah.
Yeah, whereas if you look at it, how many points do Waterford have?
Very few.
Beat Tip last year, and they've no matter this says about Tip or what. I think their only points have come from Tip. They drew a Tip in the ghost goal game, and they beat them last year. They've 3 points, I think.
Wow. No, they have won games recently when it was knockout. I remember the one in Thurles when Calum Lyons was playing full back. No, actually, they lost that as well. I remember Calum Lyons was more or less full back on Tony Kelly. But Clare won that game, actually, didn't they? So I'm starting to veer toward... I was veering towards Cork getting out of Munster. And now I'm not entirely sure because it depends on will Alan Connolly be back there, Fitzgibbon. Mark Coleman probably won't be back. There's another injury in there as well that I just not quite thinking of. So I'm starting to wonder, will it be Clare, Tip and Limerick?
I love the way you put Limerick 3rd in your thinking there, or the way you said it.
To be fair, I have them number 1 on this.
Yeah, just thinking about who do we think is the second best team in the country? Are you still going back to last year's All-Ireland final or semi-final? Are you still are you going with you're really prioritising the top 2 in Leinster because you know that one of them is going to be in an All-Ireland semi-final? Whereas, we could say here, Clare ran Limerick so close in 3 games last year and it only took extra time to get over them. But will Clare get out of Munster? Because Munster is so competitive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And how much stock are we placing on what we've seen so far in the league as well? Because last year we took an overreaction to Dublin and an overreaction to Kilkenny. Remember, we had Kilkenny well down the pecking order, and then they hockeyed Dublin, and the whole season completely turned around on a different pack completely.
Yeah, A Sully 180 says Limerick, Kilkenny, Galway, Clare, Cork, Tip, Waterford, Dublin, Wexford, Antrim, Westmeath. We're going to have to start. Well, PWell 74. If the league is all shadow boxing, how can we know how teams and new players are really good? Will new players get a big shock in the first round of the championship? Yeah, I don't know. I actually think we just need to start digging into this here. Who's your number 2? Are you going to stay with Kilkenny? Is there much change? Obviously, there's a completely new manager. You've got a few players who are away this year. The likes of James Maher, Mikey Carey, and a couple more have gone abroad. No, but the main thing is a new manager, and maybe even TJ a year older, brilliant and all as he is.
Yeah, and not knowing when he'll be back. He'll probably be back for championship probably, but a few little question marks about Adrian Mullen's fitness as well. Having missed the club final, but it's who would usurp them at number 2? Like, really, do you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't confidently put Galway ahead of them. I don't think you could confidently put anyone else in Munster ahead of Kilkenny at the moment either. Do you know what I mean?
By default, it's Kilkenny, really, isn't it?
I kind of think it is, really, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, they're going for what? Are they going for 4 in a row in Leinster? They're still going to be there or thereabouts, and you'd fancy them. Would you? Do you like? I fancy them to be in the last 4 again.
Yeah, so we both fancy them to win Leinster.
Yeah, not necessarily to win it. They might get to a semi-final via a quarter-final, but I think they'll be still in the last 4.
Yeah, so would you put, like we had Tom Condon on a few days ago, and he was talking about Galway being the closest challengers to Limerick, but I think we probably need to see a little bit more. But I'd nearly put Galway at number 3 just by dint of thinking that they will get out of Leinster and get to the latter stages of the championship. So they'll probably build up a bit of form as well, and they'll probably be humming nicely in the second year of Henry Shefflin.
Yeah, Colin Keys did a piece for our paper last week, and I think he had a combined score, the combined scores of when Limerick have played Galway under Kiley, and it was something like, I think there was like 5 points between them. Limerick had beaten them by 5 points, and obviously beat them by 5 the other day. That probably could have been closer had his kind of seen the line. Whatever it is, like you could say the same about Kilkenny. They just seem to be able to make it unbelievably competitive with them. And it's almost because they're kind of bruising physicality or whatever it is. But isn't it mad to think that if me and you were, if Kilkenny were and Galway were in Munster, shall we say, like how would our power rankings change here? But it's like,
massively.
Yeah, they would change massively. But then it's like when Kilkenny play Limerick, they've beaten by 2 points in the All-Ireland final. Beaten, was it a point or 2 in 18 as well? Beat them in 2019. Galway ran them to score in 20. They ran them to a score last year. Like, it's I'm a farm man when it comes to racing. Like, the farm just does not add up a lot of the time. It really
Yeah,
doesn't.
but hurling is hurling, like.
Hurling is hurling, yeah. I love that. It's a catch-all, like when you can't explain something. Hurling is hurling,
it's hurling's answer to that would be an ecumenical matter.
Yeah, or it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah. Okay, so now we're basically picking who do we think are the next 2 teams coming out of Munster here, because best will in the world, I think Wexford, Dublin, whoever else you want to pick out of Leinster are going to be after whichever 2 teams we think are going to come out of Munster. So I'm thinking Tipperary will come out. Am I right or am I wrong?
I think Tipperary will come out in 3rd in Munster.
Right.
But
do you know what?
But they could easily.
It's still a big jump up the table.
Yeah, they could easily come out in 2nd as well. You see, I still don't think Clare will get out of Munster. That's just my gut feeling.
And Cork for you?
Yeah, but I cannot put Cork 4th. Like,
Well,
you know what I mean? Like, based on last year, All-Ireland semi-final side, Clare still have to be high up. Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean?
But if you don't think they'll come out, you don't think they'll come out.
Yeah, I don't think they'll come out. I don't at the moment I'm kind of thinking it's Waterford and Clare that won't come out of Munster. And I'd said Clare were 5th, and I'd probably put them 4th now. And at the minute I'd have Waterford bottom of Munster. But that's bottom of Munster in the sense of, they could have 4 points. And it could be 4, 5, 6. You know what I mean? It could be a lot of teams really close together. Saying that, you don't want to be making too many snap judgments at this time of the year either, you're just kind of based on a gut feeling or something you've seen or what you've seen of a team,
Yeah, I'd be putting Clare 4th here, and I'd be putting Tipperary 5th, because I'm starting to seesaw back towards Clare getting out and Cork not. Cork and Waterford not.
Okay, yeah, well, listen, based on what they did last year, I think if you look at teams 2, 3, and 4, you're basing it really, a lot of it is on form, yes, but a lot of it is on proximity to Limerick when they play and how close Clare drew with them 3 times last year and were beaten in extra time. Galway ran them to a score. Kilkenny ran them to a score. Tip, competed for 50 minutes and then were reasonably well beaten down the straight. Cork were well beaten. Waterford, competed well with them, but were beaten, despite, Limerick, a load of Limerick's best players been on the bench. So I think probably it's best to base it on form and what's actually in the book.
Yeah, and I would just say that Tipperary are going to be producing an awful lot better than they have in the last year or two. So that's why it happened fifth. I'm sure not everyone will agree.
I have no problem with Tip around there, I have to say, because I'm going on what I've seen with my eyes and what I've seen in the flesh at games, and I think it's a totally different Tipperary, and I think 8 would be, as much as it pains me to say it, like if we leave them down at 8 would be doing them a total injustice to what. Yeah, you can say what we've seen in the league should be, can't be, taken fully on merit, but it can't be disregarded either.
So are we going to go with Cork or Waterford next, or are we going to bring in the likes of Dublin and Wexford?
No, I'd be putting Cork in next. They're obviously beaten in an All-Ireland quarter final by a score by Galway last year, whereas Wexford ran Clare quite closely, but you do have to take into account the injuries they have at the moment, how average they look without a handful of their best players. We don't know whether Paddy Foley's going to be around for the summer. Darragh Egan said he's not home at the moment. Like, if you're not home in March, chances of you playing championship are probably slim enough. Liam Ryan's carrying an injury. There's doubts over Lee Chin. There's doubts over, Matt O'Hanlon's kind of coming back as well. If you're judging what you've seen with your eyes, what I saw in Wexford Park last Sunday was not good. Not good at all.
And Dublin competed well against Tipperary, but again, it's just the problems in the forward line and the amount of scoring they're going to do. Liam Linehan says, as a Limerick man, I fear Tip and Cork the most in Munster. And so you should, Liam, and so you should. Just having a bit of fun there. But I like one of Wexford or Dublin are going to get through. Is it going to be our Wexford or Dublin getting through in Leinster, do you reckon?
Yeah.
And do they go ahead of Waterford? Like, I mean, Cork and Waterford, based on our judgments, they're not going to get through to the latter stages, whereas Wexford and Dublin, one of those two will.
Yeah, I suppose that it depends on whether you're ranking the 11 best teams or, as we've done before, whether you're ranking, who you actually think is going to have a run in the championship.
So, yeah, well, we seem to have, we kind of make it up as we go every time.
No, I tell you what, right? There's times when we look into the mystic ball and that's what we base our power rankings on. And then there's other times where we just judge what's in front of us. I feel like, I don't know. Yeah, I would say, listen, realistically, if Waterford play Wexford or Clare in the championship, I think Waterford are going to beat both of them.
Yeah, fight and talk, Shane. I like it, says Liam Linehan. Yeah, so I'd be putting Cork next, then I'd be putting Waterford. Then I'm a little bit unsure about Wexford and Dublin. I think if Wexford get their full team out, I'd be putting Wexford ahead of Dublin.
Yeah, Dublin beat Wexford in the championship last year, you'd have to say too. A pretty full strength Wexford team. I'd probably switch Dublin and Wexford if it was me. I probably would. There's no guarantees that they're going to get their best team out, but
even though Dublin have lost so many players from last year, from the team that beat them last year, it's a very changed Dublin team, which is why I'd put Wexford slightly ahead of them.
Yeah, I just feel like I don't know, it's weird. I feel like there's a better mood around Dublin than there is around Wexford at the moment. But that's
okay. Well, do you know what? I'll let you have the cast and vote on this one.
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Like, I'll put it to you this way, Shane. It'll probably come down to score difference between Dublin and Wexford to see who comes out with Leinster. Realistically, they probably will. They're probably going to end up on around the same points.
Well, we've basically kept the exact same top four. There's a nice bit of change in around the middle section. So we finished up with Limerick, Kilkenny, Galway, Clare, Tipperary, 6 Cork, 7 Waterford, Dublin, Wexford, Antrim, and Westmeath. They fill up 8 to 11 there. Richard Hogan says Munster is so tight it's hard to know. Probably think Munster 4 should be in block. Lost so many players but still performing well. That's A Sully 180 talking about Dublin. So keep your comments coming in. Let us know if you think we were right or wrong. What do we want to talk about next?
They're definitely not going to let us know that we're right anyway.
Well, I mean, let us know something.